Good morning. This is Foeonthefights with an update on UFC news and what's going on in the MMA world. Strictly speaking, in the UFC world. Good morning, MMA fans. I just watched Believe You Me. Josh Emmett was on there talking about his win over Calvin Kattar. He did a great job. A lot of hard, heavy shots thrown. Forward pressure, I think, won him the fight. Calvin had the pop shot and jab, came back in 4 and 5, but I think they gave it to Josh because of the significance and the damage. And even though his eye looked a lot more fucked up than Calvin's did, he got the win. I was rooting for Calvin. I picked Calvin, but you know how it goes. Props to Josh Emmett. He's keen on that next title shot on the winner of Volk and Max Holloway. And not for lack of trying on Calvin Kattar's part. I mean, he showed he's a dog. He kept coming back from those big shots. He was attempting those nasty elbows like he landed against Jeremy Stevens, but he just couldn't seem to land one flush on Josh Emmett. So Calvin, he's now ranked at number 5. Emmett's ranked at number 4 now. Like I said, Emmett's keen on a title shot. What's next for Calvin Kattar, you might wonder. I kind of wonder. I think he's going to be fighting someone lower in the rankings because the top 3 and 4 seem to be jammed up at the moment. And then you might ask, why is Logan Paul calling out Paddy Pimblett? Other than the fact that Paddy has blown up to apparently 200 pounds, the man likes to eat in between fights, but that doesn't change the fact he's a 155 pounder. And Logan Paul is essentially a light heavyweight. I mean, I know he fought Mayweather, and I know his brother fights only smaller men and men who, I mean, he fought Ben Askren. Jake Paul fought Ben Askren, one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, definitely the worst striker in the UFC. That was a shame to watch. It shouldn't even happened. And then Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley, and I truly believe Tyron could have won if he was more worried about winning than he was worried about losing. I think he just didn't want to lose, and he put too much focus on that. He was way too hesitant, way too clench heavy. He would throw and then hug and throw and hug. Like, come on, Tyron. You're a fucking beast, man. You used to be a monster. Like, if he would have just had confidence and moved forward and took some risks, I think he could have got Jake out of there pretty early. But what happened. Props to Jake Paul. He slept Tyron face planted first, and Tyron will live on forever as a meme. Many memes in all the fucking MMA shows now. He's always at the end of them, laying face first with a new meme about him. It's pretty funny. I saw one of him holding a wheelbarrow and a bag of money as he's slumping over to fall on his face. That's the funniest meme I saw of Tyron. It sucks, but what happened, and I just don't know why these guys are so content on fighting people who are so much lower in weight than them. I mean, obviously they want an advantage because they're not real fighters with a whole bunch of experience, but at this point, Jake claims to be a real boxer, so I think he should fight a real boxer. And that's going to cue up the next topic. Supposedly Jake's returning on August 6th, and his opponent is to be announced. I think it's safe to say, though, all MMA fans are hoping that it's going to be against the Spider, Anderson Silva, because that would be the first time Jake fought someone of similar stature and someone who I think can genuinely beat him easily, maybe, because Anderson's shown to be great boxing after his UFC career. He looked great against Julio Cesar Chavez. He looked phenomenal against Tito Ortiz. Fucking put him right out. And I think it would be a real fight for Jake. And I would give him credit for taking that fight. But if he takes on another like Cowboy Cerrone or somebody who's past their prime, ex-UFC fighter, like, I think that ship has sailed. I think fans want to see some real fights from him, not these fucking gimmicks that he sets up with 100% favoritism in his corner. Like, it's crazy what this guy's doing. But I'll watch it because I'm a fan of fights. I don't watch much boxing, but I'm a huge UFC fan. And Jake talks a lot of shit about Dana White and the UFC, but it'd be interesting to see him fight for the UFC one day. I mean, he's claiming still he's going to fight Conor McGregor, which makes absolutely no sense, but at this rate, Conor's fucking bulking up. He's probably about 185, so it might make sense one day if he keeps going the route he's going in Conor. Fucking looking massive these days. But there's a lot going on in the MMA news. Sean O'Malley, who I was a fan of at first, but I just don't like the guy's attitude now. He acts like he's the fucking king of the world. Props to him. He's doing good. He's successful, but still hasn't really fought anyone of name, value. And I give him props. He's fighting Pedro Munoz next. And if he can get past Pedro, I'd like to see him fight Adrian Yanez, who was also on Believe You Me. I recommend Believe You Me. It's the best MMA podcast out there. Adrian Yanez had a great interview with Michael Bisping on there. Get to see a lot more into who Adrian Yanez is, where he comes from, his character. He's looking forward to a Sean O'Malley fight as well. I think that'd be a great one for both of them. If he gets past Pedro, which is not going to be easy because Pedro is a dog and he's really good. So I think this will show if Sean O'Malley's hype is warranted. This fight with Pedro, I think we're going to see the true level of Sean O'Malley. And then I see on here, O'Malley says maybe Khabib stepped away from fighting because of Charles Oliveira. I call bullshit on that. Mainly because I think when Khabib retired, Charles was still, he might not even fought Tony at that point. He was still far away from being close to a title shot. So that just kind of doesn't make sense. Maybe Sean's been smoking too much weed, which is completely plausible for that to be the case. And let's see here. Carla Esparza argues Marina Rodriguez deserved title shot over Zhang Weili. Reveals timeline for next. Blah, blah, blah. That tells me Carla's scared. She's fucking terrified. She does not want to lose her title right after she won it. Because Zhang Weili is a fucking beast on a mission. And she's going to take Carla right out, in my opinion. She's going to match the wrestling. And her striking is levels above Carla's. So, of course, Carla is going to argue for Marina Rodriguez. A very weak in the grappling area, a heavy striker. That would favor Carla. Absolutely more than Zhang Weili. But if I remember, the last fight Marina had wasn't super convincing. I think it was a very close fight. In fact, I forget exactly who it was against, but I think she called for like a title shot, and it was just like kind of went on deaf ears. So yeah, of course Carla's going to be calling for that. I think Zhang gets it next, and I think Zhang takes the title back from her. And then we have Dana White says the UFC will not rebook Joe Lozon versus Donald Cerrone. Reveals Cowboy finally turned down a short notice fight. Wow, that's a first. But I don't understand it. Cerrone says he doesn't want to make 15 again, but he wants to get to 50 fights, and apparently he's at 48 in the UFC. So it's like, if you want to get there, you fight. But, excuse me, in my honest opinion, I've been saying it now since Justin Gaethje beat Cowboy. He should retire, man. He doesn't need any more knockouts. I mean, the guy, he's a family man. He's doing well outside of the UFC. He doesn't need to be doing this shit anymore. And Joe Lozon, I think the same of him. I mean, his knee locks up just from sitting down on a chair. That shows you that age has caught up with these gentlemen, and it's probably in their best interest to hang their hats up. In Cowboys' case, the cowboy hat. Put it on the hook, brother. Enjoy the ranch. Enjoy training other folks out there. You're making loads of money. You can stay in the sport. You can do grappling matches. I'm a huge Cowboy fan, and I say this with utmost respect. Please, Cowboy, just retire. I mean, it's time. I think it's been time, but now it's definitely time. Hold on. Going back to the Jake Paul's fight yet to be announced, we have a new headline on MMA Junkie. Nate Diaz uses Jake Paul video in the latest request for UFC release. I have bigger shit to do. Maybe this is hinting that that's why. Let's see. Your UFC release now, please, or give me fight with anyone in July or August. I have bigger shit to do. And Nate posted the video of Jake Paul knocking out Tyron Woodley. Still way smaller than Jake, but Nate's a dog. If he wants it, I'd love to see it. I think that's going to be a hard fight for Nate just because of the size and the fact that Jake has pretty good knockout power, and Diaz, at best, can win with volume and dirty boxing, clinch heavy work. But yeah, I still think it's not a very good matchup for Nate. But I agree with him. If the guy wants to be released, I think they should release him. I mean, the guy's done fucking loads of shit for the sport. He's one of the biggest stars, one of the most fan favorite fighters, him and his brother. I think he should get the release if that's what he really wants, and apparently he does. I mean, you see the video of him pissing on the PI. Nate just doesn't give a fuck anymore at this point. He wants to fight, and if they don't want to give him a fight, he wants to move on and make a fight and make some big ass money fighting Jake Paul. So if you ask me, would I rather have Jake Paul fight Nate Diaz or Anderson Silva? I think for the fan fun, Nate would be a little more fun to see because of the trash talk and he's just instant classic whenever he's in a press conference before a fight, especially something of this magnitude. But I want Anderson to be the one because he matches Jake in size, and I think he just destroys him. And that's what everybody wants to see, if I'm honest. So yeah, lots of shit going on. Kevin Holland got the win. I'm rooting for Kevin Holland, trailblazer all the way to the title. He's the man. That Sean Brady call out is very interesting. It shows Kevin's super confident in his takedown defense if he's willing to call out Sean Brady, one of the best grapplers in the 170-pound division. But I think if Kevin keeps it on the feet, he gives him problems. But that's a big if because Brady can seemingly take down anyone at will. And Kevin Holland looked good against his last opponent, the Dirty Bird Tim Means. But, I mean, Tim Means and Sean Brady, two different levels when it comes to grappling. So that's what's going on in the MMA world, guys. And then stay tuned. Later in the week, I'll be doing my predictions video of the card coming up this weekend. Sarukian versus, I think, Mateusz Gamrot it is. A lot of good fights on this card. Some worth pointing out. You got Brian Boom Kelleher versus Mario Bautista. That's a good one. Raulian Paiva's back after the Sean O'Malley loss, fighting Sergey Morozov. You got Carlos Olberg, Izzy's buddy, fighting Tafon Nchukwi, the African powerhouse. Lots of power in those hands. You got Chris Curtis. He's been on a streak against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master Rodolfo Vieira, who's known to gas because he's just an absolute tank of a man with muscles on muscles. And you got Khabib's cousin or brother, Umar Nurmagomedov, super favorite at 91% right now. And then you got Thiago Moises versus Christos Giagos. That's going to be a good fight. Neil Magny versus Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to be great. Shavkat's looked practically flawless. I mean, his record shows he's flawless at this point at 15-0. This guy's super good. I'm looking forward to that fight. And Arman Sarukian in the main event against Mateusz Gamrot. Sarukian's a favorite right now. His record is 18-2. Gamrot's 20-1. Damn. I'm not super familiar with Gamrot, so stay tuned for the picks video. I'm going to have to do some research because these are a couple hard ones to pick. But that's the UFC news update on Foeonthefights. Hope you enjoyed. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Like and subscribe, all that jazz. And stay tuned for the fights this weekend because they're just coming. They're just coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. Okay. See you next time.